think anyone that's ever owned an iPad has been interested in getting work done on it. I mean, they're crazy thin, they're ultra portable, they're super light. You can do so many other things on them, but it would be awesome to be able to just grab your iPad, head out the door, catch a plane, go to a cafe, and be able to play some games, work on some photos, and also get some coding work done. Unfortunately, it hasn't always been easy to be able to do, let's say, web development on an iPad, considering it doesn't have a full Mac OS X environment on it. However, now that we have VS Code and its ability to use remote tunnels to be able to do remote web development, we can now transform the iPad into a work machine. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. To make this possible, we're going to need to get a few things set up first. We're definitely going to need a Linux server that's hosted somewhere. We're going to need to set up our web development environment on it. In this case, we're going to be using Next.js. And then we're going to need to set up the VS Code server, and we're going to need to connect to it. So that's a few different pieces. Let's walk through and do each one. The first thing to do is that we need to set up a Linux server that's hosted somewhere. In this case, today I'm going to be using Digital Ocean. One of the reasons why is that they have some of the most affordable and easily accessible VPS services out there. And secondly, it's the one that I use personally for all of my projects. Therefore, I know how to use it. Now, what you see in front of you is a DigitalOcean account that I've set up specifically for this. And I've created one project here on the dashboard, but I haven't created any of the VPS hosts yet. On DigitalOcean, they call them droplets, a small Linux server that you have full control over. So we're just going to hit create droplet here, and we'll just let it be in New York. I'm over on the East Coast, so New York sounds fine. I'm not going to change really much of this. Ubuntu is going to be fine for this. Might as well use the newest version here. So I'm just going to hit regular, just to get down to kind of the cheap plans. Now, if we go this way, you can see that the cheapest plan starts at $4 a month, but that only gets you 512 megs of RAM. The problem here is that with using Next.js and VS Code at the same time, they both run on top of NodeJS, and they both actually end up using a fair amount of RAM. In fact, each one of them individually can use between 500 and a gigabyte of RAM. You stack those two needs together, and you end up requiring around 2 gigabytes of RAM. So really the 2 gig option here is kind of the minimum option. So I'm going to hit the $12 a month option here. You don't need any extra storage. In this case, I'm not going to turn on the automated backup plan, although I typically do. I'm just going to choose a password for right now, although I usually utilize an SSH key instead. So on the password front, I'm just going to come right here and type a root password. So now that I've selected all of my options here, we could give it a different name here. Let's do that. Let's just call it test one. And then we're just going to hit create droplet right here. And it only takes a moment. And then we're going to have a live running Linux virtual server for us to use. Now that we have our shiny new Linux server up and running, we need to get connected to it. To do that, we're going to need the IP address, which is right here. I'm just going to hit copy. And then we need an SSH application. And there's a lot of these in the App Store. Pick your favorite one. For me, I've picked Termius. It's right here. I just happen to like the way that it works. I think it has a nice interface. It does a good job of saving SSH keys. So I'm just going to hit new host here. I think we call this thing test one. We're going to put the IP address in right here. For username, we are going to use root for right now. So we hit save, and now you can see we have our new host right here. We're just going to click that. Now, immediately it's going to tell us that it can't know the authenticity of the host. That's because this is the first time we're connecting. We're just going to hit continue. As you can see here, we're connected as root. We don't really want to do much as root other than just add a user. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Add user, put some name in there. In this case, tester. Need to put a password. So put some password in here and type it again. Okay, yeah, full name, yeah, sure. You can fill this stuff out if you want. Yes, the information is correct. There we go, we've added our new user. Now the other thing that we need to do is add it to the sudo group. That allows us to run some commands as root, even whenever we're connected as this new user that we created, which is called tester. To do that, we actually run the same command again. So I'm just going to hit up arrow here to go back to the same command we just ran, and then just add sudo here. And this is going to add sudo as one of the groups that the tester user is in. Now that we've got that all set up, we can actually disconnect. And then we're going to go over here and right click this and hit edit. And then we can come down here and change the username. And we can change the password. And save. Now we can reconnect. And now there you go. We're now connected as our new Shiny user. The reason why we do this is that it's pretty dangerous to be connected and running commands as root. Root has way too much power. You can overwrite files, you can turn things off, you can destroy configuration files, all sorts of things that you don't want to do. Now we need to start getting our whole development environment set up. Now, to do that, we're just going to work through some instructions. So first thing we're going to do is get Node installed. And to do that, just roll over right to the nodejs.org website and go into their installation instructions. And I like to just use these right here. Just run that command and you can see what it said down here. So it installed NVM and then it appended some commands to our bash rc, which is the script that runs whenever you connect or SSHN as this user. In order to get our environment adjusted though, now that it's modified the bash rc, there's a few different things that we can do. But honestly, the cleanest is just to disconnect and reconnect so that we get the new environment. Now we're going to run the next command here, which is nvm install 20, which gives us the newest version of Node. There we go. And as it says here, we might as well check. Let's just make sure Node is installed and that it's the right version. There we go. We're all good to go. So now that Node is set up, that was fairly simple. We just need to get Next.js up and running. So to do that, we're going to go over to nextjs.org, go to the installation, instructions, and run this guy right here. Yes, we do want to go ahead and install that. Okay, so it's going to ask us, what do we want our project named? You can type in any name you want. Right now, I'm just going to use the default of my app. Do we want TypeScript? Sure, yeah. If you don't want to use TypeScript, hit left and hit no. ESLint's a good idea. Tailwind, sure. No, we don't need a source directory. Yeah, let's use the app router. And no, we don't need to customize anything further. And so now it's getting our app all set up here with just all the essentials for Next.js. But it successfully created our development area here in a directory that it named with your app name, in this case, my app. So we're going to go over to my app, and then we're going to do npm run dev in order to start it up. And it says it's ready. So head back over to our browser. Now, the thing that we're going to need is our IP address. And if you look here carefully, it says it's going to be running on port 3000. So let's create a new window here. And we're just going to go to our IP address, port 3000. Now, as soon as we do that, we go back over here to our terminal. You can see that it says that it's compiling. The first time that you do this, it will actually take just a moment to get everything compiled, and then you should see the website pop up over here. as soon as it's ready. There we go. All set up and running. So here we go. We are now serving up a Next.js app directly from our brand new Linux server. That's all that it takes to get that done. And now if we want to, we can go in and modify this web page. Sorry, let me just pull the terminal over here. So to do that, I'm just going to hit Command T to open up a new connection. So now you can see I have my two connections up here. By the way, you can use Command left and right in Terminus to flip around between your various terminal tabs. I'm going to go into my app, go into app, page.tsx is the page that we're currently looking at. So I'm going to just use the built-in editor nano. And we can come edit something here. Let's say it's working. I'm going to use Control O to write that back out. And I flipped around through my windows there. Sometimes on the very first reload, you need to hit reload here. After that, you shouldn't need to do that again. So for instance, if we come over here, some exclamation points, hit Control O, you see they show up instantly over here. In fact, I guess I could actually move these around so we can see both. Let's put some more exclamation points in it. There we go. So there we go. We've got a development environment set up. It's live updating as we're modifying the app, and we can go forth and develop. However, as you can tell, Nano leaves a lot to be desired. So let's get VS Code set up. To get VS Code set up, we're first going to exit Nano, just Control X, and then we need to get VS Code installed. Now, there's a few different ways to install VS Code. In this case, I prefer to install it using the snap package, just because it's a complete bundle of VS Code. It doesn't modify anything on the rest of your server, so it's not going to conflict with anything else that you're trying to work on or develop. So to do that, first we need to update the package list for Ubuntu. So sudo apt update is going to ask for the password for this user. And then it's going to update its working list of packages here that we can install on Ubuntu. And then we're going to do sudo snap install. And we need to use classic mode for VS Code. I'm not going to go into why right now. And then just put code there. So it's all up and running, and we can verify that. Let's just do which code. So there it is. There's the executable. You can see it's under snap bin. And the next thing that we're going to do is that we just need to set up the VS Code tunnel. Now, before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and kill our Next.js that's running over here because we don't need to run it there anymore. And in order to get the VS Code tunnel set up, we're just going to type code tunnel. Very simple. And it tells us what to do right here. It says to grant access to the server, we need to log in here. Now, by default, it's going to use GitHub for our login credentials. You can also use your Microsoft account if you would rather use a Microsoft account. I think probably most people are going to want to use their GitHub account for this. So we just copy that URL and we go back over here to our browser and stick that in here. You can see here that I'm already logged into GitHub as Splurge Budget. which allows me to do a little bit of product placement right now. If you're liking this video, I would really appreciate it if you'd head over to splurgebudget.com and check out um, one of my applications that I built recently, which is a full budgeting application. So go check that out at splurgebudget.com. But anyway, I'm going to use that here to authenticate right now. And then it asks for this code here, and that's also here in the terminal. So just copy and paste that in there and hit continue. Yes, we want to authorize Visual Studio Code. And now it's all set. And we'll just wait just a moment. And now it says, open this link in your browser. Okay. And we're going to log in with GitHub. And yes, I trust myself. Okay, and now you can see that, well, we ran it here from down inside the app directory, so we're already in the app directory, and you can see our page is showing up here. The next thing that we need to do is actually get VS Code where it can actually run our applications so that we can set breakpoints and do debugging and all that sort of thing. And to do that, we're just going to go down here to run and debug. And we're going to create a launch.js file. It doesn't really matter which one of these you pick because we're going to clear it out. And if you go over here to Next.js.org, they have a page on how to set up VS Code with debugging. And they give you this nice little launch.json that we're just going to copy. And then we'll go back to VS Code. Paste that in here. Okay. And you can look at the template here. It's all set up. npm run dev is what we needed to do. We need to put the IP address right here. So we'll go back over here to Digital Ocean, grab that IP address again, stick it right here. Oops. And then just going to look through the rest of this, make sure it's all okay. I don't see anything else we need to edit. So I'm just going to hit save right here. Now we can close launch.json. Now we have this little green arrow here, so I'm going to hit go, and that's going to start running Next.js. You can see it right here. And it's starting up. Now it says that it's running on port 3000. You can hit open in browser. That would open it through kind of the tunnel. But actually, in this case, I recommend that you just hit make public. It'll make things just simpler overall in the long run. So I'm just going to hit make public, and then that again just makes it available at that port 3000. So we can come back over here and run this again. You can see that it's compiling again, so it'll take a moment again on the first run. In the meantime, I'm going to kind of set my windows up here. Just minimize Termius because we don't really need it anymore. If we need a terminal, we can use the terminal inside of VS Code. Okay, and now we're all up and running. So I'll close these out so we have a little bit of space. And we have our full development environment. So we have access to all the files and directories. We can create new directories. We can upload files, including files directly from our iPad, images, etc. You can do all the normal things that you would do with VS Code. And if we edit this here, You can see that it updates live over here. So that's really all there is to it. So go forth and develop your Next.js app right on your iPad and enjoy. Thanks.